Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today we have for you an open box video, and the engineer has been at it again, cherry picking his way through life, looking for varieties that you can cash in on maybe, or just depending on how much your submission costs are, maybe not. So this is the 1970S, the small date. The small date penny is something that I always look for an indicator that is not on the date portion, which is to say I always look over at the word Liberty, and you can just see how the T and the Y are almost completely gone. It almost looks like there's two Y's at the end of that thing. And that's on that small date variety on those guys. So this is something that's really common for people to find rolls of and cherry pick. They're not super expensive. In that grade MS64, you're looking at a coin that's probably in the $50 or $60 range on that. And here's one that's a little less spotted and a lot more lustrous, I think. Better view of, there's that TY again and just how faint it is on this side with the small date. Also, typically the S on these is very soft. You see how the bottom of the S just kind of disappears. As far as the date goes, the larger date, that 7 and 0 look bigger. The 7 looks closer to the size of the 9, although the 9 is much taller. If you look over the surface of the coin, it sticks down quite a bit. But the small date versus large date, that's the main thing that actually is going on there. MS65 red. This is a coin that's probably about a $75 coin, give or take, in the marketplace. Next, we get to be challenged by a couple of different things, mostly camera work for this 1982 double die. And maybe first we'll take a look and see what it should look like, because this is one of the ones that is somewhat microscopic, and I think we'll get there though. You can tell when they take up like an eighth of the page here, trying to show you what the doubling is on this guy, the FS01, and you can see what they show here is a pretty bold image, but you can see you kind of want to find that line on the D and the edge of the W, another circle around the O, and we're going to see what we can find out on this guy here real quick. The 64 red, and let's go ahead and get a super close look here at the GOD. He's the OG. All right, so at this angle, I can see on the long side of the D the little bit of doubling. Also in the G and the O, it's very minor. If you look right now at the what it would be normally the left edge of the W, but we're at an angle, so the bottom side, you can see where that line creeps in on there. Easier to see, of course, in the book than this. I knew this one would be really hard to translate to film just because I had a harder time seeing it. Maybe you can also see that the I looks a little fat and the edge of the N. Here at the edge of the N, I was capturing some pretty good line action right now on that N. This one just seems like it's a whole lot more visible than the other one was. As we rotate it and try to keep it in focus a little bit. Harder to film for sure on something like that. So these MS64, pretty low population on these guys, only 13 graded higher. We think these are $150 to $200 type coins. All right, so next is a tricky. So on some of the mint sets, so these are the satin finish, so they were intended for mint sets. They should have edge lettering, right? And there is a sub variety that is somewhat collectible here that has a weak edge, so you can just see parts of it. The lettering is like half gone. And what's fascinating about this here is that this 2007D, so according to the pop reports, there's only 2 graded this grade with none graded higher, making it yet again the finest known. The only problem is that this coin was cut out of a Philadelphia mint set. And what's also the matter is that where the date is, 2007, the mint mark is right under the prong. And so you cannot see it. So, you know, what are you going to do with this here? There we go. That might be unclear to some people, but anyway, it's, you know, it's probably in the Philadelphia mint, it's probably a $50 coin or maybe a little bit more, but the Denver mint is, you know, a couple hundred. Also, I got a couple more cool varieties to show you, but we interrupt this program to try to show to you some toning. We sent in some cents just with magical toning because it's actually a whole thing. And really, really, the true view is the thing that makes these things pop. So that's PCGS's imaging, where they take all the color saturation at different angles at one time and just apply it over the coin so that you get a front view like this, but you'll get the color of the purple and blue on the edge and then the magentas and stuff like that. So you get color like this with a view like that. And these are pretty popular. This one's a 68 red, but we send these in and just put them usually on eBay and let them ride, let the market decide what these toners are worth. But we have fun with it. And I always like seeing some of the cool tone on copper. I'm also intrigued by that they're calling all these reds. This one's got a really nice, very vibrant look to it. And I'm sure, once again, if it's got the gold sticker up here, the shield, it means that they have a true view image of it. So I'm sure we can pop up a true view of these guys as we go along. Next up, the 05S with little to no toning on the front and a 69 red cam, but once again has a crescent moon on the back with all the colors of the rainbow. Taste the rainbow on that one, guys. Here's an 03, and from what I can tell, guys collect these based on date and mint mark also, and eye appeal. I think I've talked to a couple guys who are trying to put together date sets of these, and I like it when the blue turns almost to white. At the far edge of this coin, you'll see that. The rim from noon to 3, basically, you'll see that. 75S, here's one that you don't see quite as often. There's some of those 70s coins. 75S has just an overall blood moon look to it. Got the blood moon going on, and one more, and then we'll show you a couple more double dyes or varieties, whatever the cherry picker engineer cherry picked for us. 70S, the large date, but also with some pretty vibrant little toning around the edge. It's all about the angles there, folks. All right. Next up, we got the 76S silver with the doubling, especially in the R and the word trust. So we're going to take a look at this guy here, FS 101. And you can almost make that out just with the 10 power. We're going to go to the 20 power next. And once again, some of these are very hard to see. This was taken out of a mint set. I should have mentioned, you know, I mentioned that satin finished dollars out of the mint set. I'm having a hard time getting the angle on this guy, but I had it before in hand, And oftentimes, if there's a straight edge, what you end up looking for is a little bit of a divot. I'll show you one here on this next coin. So this guy, 67, pop 26.4, pretty expensive. These bicentennial versions, you know, that's probably a $300 type coin. Pretty good for mint set find. Those pennies were coming out of the 70S small dates were out of mint sets, and the 82 bronze large date double was out of a tube. And here we go again with kind of a conundrum of a coin as far as coins go. We've got this taken out of a Brown Ike set, pop 10 on a proof 69, FS 106. So once again, you're talking about what do you do with these pop 1 coins? And the tricky part is, you know, it doesn't say cam on it at all. Okay, so they're saying there's no cameo to this, which is kind of difficult because, you know, it to me has some cameo, but I've seen much better cameo, of course. I'm not arguing for a deep cam on this. I'm just saying cameo is undoubtedly better than not cameoed, but also 69s, they're just not available. Not sure exactly the market on this, $100 to $200. So this has doubling in God We Trust. And here I'll draw you a little something to help you see, because my drawing makes you see clearer. Said no one ever. Let's look at the edges here of the lettering. So typically, you can see it right, actually you can see it pretty good right there on the T and the R. So typically when you've got some lettering you're dealing with, lots of times, anytime there's a straight edge somewhere on a letter, you'll end up having what looks a little bit like a divot in the corner, because that's usually where the doubling is. So you won't always see, sometimes you'll see that secondary line carry all the way through, but usually it's just on any type of a corner where there was a straight edge originally. Now you'll have that divot that my arrow just totally obliterated, and now you have a dot, and pretty soon you just have a smiley face. That's the one thing I can always get to, folks, is a smiley face. So let's take another look here real close at this guy and see if you can see like the bottom corner of the I in, the bottom left-hand corner of the N in. Same thing with the edges. Look at that top crossbar of the T on the left-hand side. You'll also see just that divot there. Right now you can see it in the I and the N and the T. So all of those are a little bit easier to see than usual. And on proof coins, it's really hard to spot these, because pretty soon, if you start looking at proof coins up close, everything looks blurry and doubled. So anyways, all right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.